Welcome to the podcast Selling Real Estate with Kelly Cook, where we will discuss the latest and most relevant business strategies to help you do one thing extremely well: sell more homes. We'll discuss everything from business planning to lead generation and conversion to past client customer service and everything in between. Join us for authentic conversations and nuts and bolts takeaways you can implement into your business today. And now, Selling Real Estate with Kelly Cook.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Selling Real Estate with Kelly Cook. And Kelly is with us today, of course. Kelly, tell me a little bit about, I know that last week we talked about, what you learned at the event that you went to, all about video marketing. If you guys haven't listened yet, go back and listen to it. We did a really good deep dive on YouTube specifically, and kind of utilizing video marketing on YouTube specifically, because there's a bunch of different platforms that I'm sure we can go further into at some point, but go back and listen to that one. But a little other nugget that Kelly wanted to talk about today that he kind of brought back is all about the money map. So this is a concept I'm not sure I'm aware of, so I'm excited to learn about it as well. So yeah, Kelly, welcome to the show. Let's get into it.
Hey, thanks, Elizabeth. And thanks everyone for joining in. As always, as you know, we try to be hard hitting and quick and get down to brass tacks, meat and potatoes, right? So that you guys can have at least one actionable item every time you listen to this podcast to take with you to implement in your business. I'm a big fan of giving back. For too long, I did not do that. But yet at the same time, for some reason, people gave to me. And so I'm very eternally and forever grateful for that. So I want to give back to people now that I've been doing this 19 years. Yeah, absolutely. Reciprocity. And so here we are today. So somebody, I'm not smart enough to figure this one out, right? Someone else way smarter than me is, and his name is Sharon Srivatsa, who's the president of Real Brokerage. And this is not a real plug or a broker plug or anything of that nature. In fact, Sharon has a brand and had a brand before he even became the president of Real Broker. But if you have a chance to follow him on IG, I absolutely would, because you will not be disappointed. He basically at this point gives a lot of his stuff away from free. So he has several exits with venture capital and starting companies in his career. And he was retired, and he came out of retirement to take the role on as president of Real. And prior to that, he was mentoring CEOs of other startups across America who would pay him a pretty penny for a consulting fee. And so now he's given away a lot of his stuff to the community of real estate, not just real agents, but he gives it out there and puts it out there, a lot of it for real estate. Well, one of the things that he has, and guys, I'm telling you right now, the guy's impressive. You need to follow him, but he has a lot of tools in his tool bag. I mean, his tool bag is vast, way bigger than most. And he pulls out a new tool, it seems like every time he talks, and it's always multiple actionable items. Well, the one thing we're talking about today is the money map. Okay, this is what Sharon came up with, or maybe he got it from someone else. I have no idea, but he calls it the money map. Now I'm going to give you a visual here, and for those of you who don't have video right now, I'll explain it. There's a visual right here. If I can put it into the camera, hopefully most people can see it. Of the four things that people need to do, and you make a grid. So you're going to have a grid or a bracket on a sheet of paper, landscape style, that's going to be 4 rows deep and 5 columns wide, okay? And at the top, you're going to have channel, okay? Channel, and in row 1. Row 2 is going to be the hook. Row 3 is going to be the conversion mechanism. And row 4 is going to be the lifetime nurture. And so the goal on this is to say, okay, let's take number 1, for example. What's your channel? Everyone needs to have a channel that you have one-to-many communication. One-to-many communication. What is it? There's a lot of them, right? I mean, it could be TikTok, it could be Threads, it could be IG, Facebook, YouTube Shorts. The list goes on and on and on. Podcasts, whatever, right? And so what is that channel? It could be an email system. It could be your database. It could be something you have. Direct mail, yes. Yes, absolutely. Birthday cards, whatever, right? That you do. So when you have that medium, what is it? And then you need to color code that medium. Now, ideally, because there's 5 columns across, one of those is the root column, if you will, right? So really 4, right? Columns, and they're blank. You need to fill them out. And so you can see on this side, I did do the job. I did my homework. I filled them out, right? And then what you do is you label every single one of those squares red, yellow, or green. It's red if it's you're not doing it at all or not doing a good job of it. It's yellow if you are doing an okay job of it, and it's green if you're nailing it, or at least in some capacity doing really well at it, right? And it's working for you. Um, and and then you do that for the next thing, which is the hook. The hook, we all understand what that is. Get attention and raise hand, right? Have someone raise their hand. And so what is your hook? You have a channel, let's say it's Facebook, right? And now what's your hook to get someone to raise their hand? We call it rise the tide post, right? Ask a question. Talk about how good you are without saying how good you are. That kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? We all know what we're talking about here. Okay. Get engagement that way. When someone raises their hand, then you're like, okay, the hook worked. They raise their hand. Maybe it's a comment. Maybe it's something that you're able to drive someone to a DM, but they raise their hand. Okay, great. Awesome. Now, how are you going to do that? Is it a rise the tide post on Facebook? Is it a home valuation request? Is it a buyer guide? I don't know. There's all kinds of things you can do to try to hook somebody to get their attention. Okay, cool. Then the third row, excuse me, is the conversion mechanism. So that is when you turn kind of the prospect to the client
Mm-hmm.
without being super formal necessarily, right? We're not talking about it has to be inside the listing presentation. So we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about maybe someone agreed to have a coffee appointment with you. Someone agreed to go out and see the first home with you because they just inquired off a website or whatever. And so you agreed to go show them that one home, but there was no commitment at that point to show others. Now you have to continue to get more formal as that relationship proceeds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what are your conversion mechanisms? You should come up with four. So you have four channels, four hooks, four conversion mechanisms, and then the last one is four lifetime nurtures. What are your lifetime nurtures mechanisms, if you will, right? And this is the operationalizing, long word, the follow up game, which by the way is the most important game you can play in real
Mm-hmm.
estate. Okay, so what is it? Is it email? That's one. Okay, is it client events? Is it direct mail? I mean, the list is it video marketing to your database, right? 2 times a month.
Mm-hmm.
That some really good companies out there provide. So there's all kinds of things like that to continue to nurture forever and ever and ever, right? Lifetime value of a customer. What is that? And it's a lot in most cases,
Mm-hmm.
but people ignore them. So for every single square, you color code red, yellow, or green. Now, if you don't, and then if you have greens, what you do is you take a line, like I kind of did here, and you connect them. You make dots and you connect them. And you can have multiple lines, it doesn't have to be just one line, straight line. If you do not have a continuous, unbroken line from the top, which is the channel, to the bottom, which is the lifetime nurture, then you do not have a money map.
Yeah. Broken system sounds like.
Broken system. Does that mean you're not going to make any money in real estate? No. Does that mean you don't close any deals? No. But does it mean you have an actual business that's going to continue to operate when maybe you get sick or you're gone for a little while or whatever it may be? Probably not.
And
Because
probably
the
means you're not running it as optimally as you could be as well.
Absolutely. And people are doing this across America. Not that many realtors in the grand scheme of things compared to how many licensees there are out there, right? But people are doing a good job of this. And the ones that are capturing market share, and they have raving fans for clients because they want to work with them. They feel how like they're wanted, they're appreciated, they're recognized, and they want to work with them before they even convert them, right? So that's the challenge I have for all of you today. Take a sheet of paper, make it go landscape. Give me those 4 rows: channel, the hook, conversion mechanism, lifetime nurture. And then over here, you're going to have 4 boxes for each one. Okay. 4 boxes across, 4 boxes deep. And you're going to fill in what your 4 channels are, what your 4 hooks are, your 4 conversion mechanisms, and your lifetime nurtures. Now, if you don't have 4 for each, that's
This is
okay.
going to be my question. What if you
Yeah.
don't have four?
If you
Yeah.
don't, good question, Elizabeth. If you don't have 4, that's okay, but that's a wake-up call because you really should have 4. Now, does
Hmm.
that mean you have to be good at all 4? Absolutely not. Does that
Most people
money
probably aren't. Yeah.
100%. And I would argue there could be some point of diminishing returns, right? For
Hmm.
trying to be good at all 4. I don't think that's the point of what Sharon was saying. The point of what he was saying was you need to really have 1. And if you
Hmm.
have 2, awesome. Once you start getting past 3 to 4, it may work against you. 3 could be really good potentially too, but like you start doing 2. Now, if you have a big staff, a lot of people helping you, then maybe 4 is just perfect because you can hit on all of it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're just
Without
by
burning
yourself,
out somebody. Yeah.
yeah, 100%. If you're just by yourself, man, one is phenomenal if you can get one accomplished. But you got to be honest with yourself. Now, by the way, you don't connect the dots and draw a line from one row to the next if it's yellow. It's
Mm-hmm.
only green to green. So you got to be honest with yourself with how and assess where you are and all those mechanisms. And then it gives you a good idea that if you don't have four, maybe you should try to get four, at least to see, because maybe you're only doing two. And you say, well, Kelly, four could be a point of diminishing returns. It could be. But how do you know you won't be better at one of the third or
Mm-hmm.
fourth thing that you all of a sudden try one time because you get outside of your comfort zone,
Mm-hmm.
right?
So if
So
you don't have four things on there, fill in the blanks with something that you want to be doing that right now
100%.
would be red, but that you could turn into a yellow or a green at some point, hopefully, if it works
That's
for
right.
you.
That's right. That's right. And that's your money map. If you don't have a money map, then some of you guys unconsciously do have a money map. And you might unconsciously have a distinct green, 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 zigzagging across those four columns somewhere. I looking at mine, I was being very honest with myself, and I have two continuous lines. They're all over the place, going this way and that way, based on where I put them in the box, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of the cool part about it. Is why it's a map. Um, and by the way, it could be your email system could go to two different things in terms of a hook, right? So it can be, but then one of mine it stops, but the other one it keeps going, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. It was a wake up call for me to say, okay, now if they are working, am I passionate about those ones that are working? And usually you're going to find that you are, because most likely if it's not working, it's part of the reason is because you just weren't passionate about it. That's why you didn't continue to
Mm-hmm.
work, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so yeah. So I encourage everyone, sheet of paper, turn it landscape wide or wise, I should say, right? And
Yeah.
then fill it out, channel, hook, conversion mechanism, lifetime nurture. Everything else is blank on those four across, four down, and then think and fill those in, and then be honest after you label them, and then draw the map.
Mm-hmm.
And then the
I
question
think
becomes, what can you do if you don't have a continuous line to
Yeah,
make those?
absolutely. And I think this is great because you said, people probably do kind of have this in their heads. I think if you get it down on paper and can actually visualize it, it might be different than what you think you have in your head, right? So
Yep.
sometimes just like writing down our goals, right? That's an important piece of setting any goals. We have to write it down. You have to put it somewhere, right?
Yep.
Kind of the same concept here. If it lives in your head, that's great, but it's not real, or you can't really evaluate it or see it until you see something like in physical form in some way. And especially for a lot of people who are visual learners, this is something you definitely need to do. So,
Yeah, and by the way, if you're listening to this and you have another business, or maybe you're in a different industry besides real estate, this still works for
oh
your
yeah.
industry and your business as well. So if you are in the position of a marketing manager, or maybe you're not self-employed, but you work for a company and you're an operational manager or whatever it is, but you have the ability to decide, have decision-making authority to decide to do something different on a marketing scale or an operational scale, then I would do this for yourself. Think about if you did have a boss, right? Think about what if you did that and then you presented that money map to your direct report.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Would that person be impressed? Yes, I think so.
Yeah,
Right. So
absolutely.
that'd be smart to do, but it all takes time to sit down and think, right? A lot of people, when you start making your way up the food chain, if you will, right? In life and in work and in corporate and career, etc. A lot of times you get paid more for how you think than
Hmm.
how you do.
Working on
So
the business instead of in the business.
correct.
Yes. Well, wonderful. That is the money map. Like I said, I had never heard of that concept. I think, Kelly, you hadn't heard of it until recently
Nope.
either, right? So really good
Yep.
exercise. Make sure that you do that. Kelly, if anybody has any questions about this, or, more questions about the channels, how to fill it out, whatever it is, or any other topic that we've discussed here, where can they reach you?
Yeah, Instagram, at Kelly Cook Homes. Love to hear from you there. Send me a follow or DM me there, or shoot me a text 480-227-2028.
Fantastic. And as always, if you are looking to build a team, please go to buildyourrealestateteam.com. Take a look at the kind of plan that Kelly laid out of what he wishes he had done when he built his team. It all turned out okay. Kelly didn't follow that exactly. It all turned out okay, but might have saved him some time if he would have followed those steps. So go back, take a look at that, buildyourrealestateteam.com. And other than that, we will see you all next week. Thanks, Kelly.
Sounds good, Elizabeth.
All right.
See ya.